Okay, hello everyone. Lou Martin here. It is June 9th, I believe, yeah, 2016, and I'm keeping up with my inspiration to do a video every day or every couple days here, and to just kind of touch in on the spiritual weather report, maybe we'll call it that. Excuse me. I got to speak with my dear partner and yeah, soul traveler here, Arancha, who's down in Brazil with John of God. She says he's 74 years old, which is also, I had to mention Bernie Sanders' age. And so John of God has been working with people as a healer and a channel for spirit for 60 years. I think he opened up to these gifts when he was a teenager. And that's amazing, of course. And that he hasn't healed everyone that's come to him because we have to meet spirit halfway, for the miracles. And sometimes that's too far to go. But he has healed a lot of people. And, again, there's just a big pile of wheelchairs and crutches and canes that are no longer needed, or there was at one point, I don't know if it's still there, next to his center. So she's having the time of her life, and it's great to experience that with her. And she says that the presence of spirit is so profound and so beautiful that it is literally like being in heaven on earth, or in another dimension, and she's wants to stay there. She's also started to get the message to write a book in Spanish about John of God, because there aren't really that many. So she says mostly it's Americans, right? And makes sense. So my love to Arancha, and she came through her experience with flying colors, and we're all going to be blessed by her love and light from these experiences. So I'm sure you'll hear more from her and from me about that. And then I chatted with Stephen Beatty, my dear friend, who is the husband and partner of Joanne Beatty, who is the author of Salva Me, I believe, the mermaid story. And we were talking about Amazon and ebooks and all that good stuff. I'm learning how to get my ebooks out into the world, and Amazon is pretty much the only game in town for a wide audience. So that's good to know. Thank you, Stephen, for all that. All that great news. Great information, yeah. The other thing that came to mind here today is that I want to do more channeling on these videos, because that's what I do, and I want to talk a little bit about channeling tonight, and I'll get to that in a moment here. But what really came up for me today, energetically, watching the news from the States, the election and Bernie Sanders campaign, and I'm climbing my own mountain at the moment, desiring to immigrate to Ireland and to be able to stay here and get my legal status sorted at long last, and continue to do my work here and enjoy the pleasures of this great country and beautiful West Cork, which I've really fallen in love with, all of that. So thank you for your prayers and good wishes about all of that. But watching Bernie Sanders, evidently there's been 2 million votes in California that have not yet been counted. And over the last 24 hours, there's been quite a bit of information again about, voter suppression and all of that. So it's just such an amazing story. And, because this has never happened before in our lifetime, where someone takes on, the corruption and the monopolies and the control and the deceptions that we've all lived with here in the media, the corporate world, the economic injustice of the last decade. I heard some amazing statistics. I won't get too preachy, but just a little bit here. I watch The Young Turks. I'm a big fan of that show. I just discovered that a few months ago. And they set out the statistics, and they said in the last decade, or since 2008, that there's been, in terms of personal wealth in the U.S., the top 10% actually have had an increase 75% in their personal wealth in the last decade. Below them, you have the middle class, who has lost 20% of their personal wealth, and you have also the lower class that's also lost 20% of their personal wealth, and then you have what's called the working class, and they have lost 50% of their personal wealth over the last decade. That is the makings of a social revolution, everyone, and that's what we're seeing. And it's a tsunami, and it's a river rolling down a mountain, and it's going to find its own path, but it is not going to be stopped. And the campaign here obviously has become the focus of that. So got that off my chest. And then the other thing is Harry Potter. And Harry Potter is my favorite story in this lifetime. 7 novels and 8 films, and the total story was about 4,000 pages long, written by one human being, and absolutely brilliant, gripping, and genius, really, from beginning to end, divinely inspired, no doubt about it. And in the end of the story, Harry Potter, the Deathly Hallows and the final confrontation between Harry and Voldemort, J.K. Rowling's done this whole thing throughout the whole theme of the story, which is that, of course, Harry has his famous lightning scar on his forehead, which was the creation of Voldemort's curse that killed his mother, that was trying to kill him, actually, Harry. But she stood between the curse and Voldemort, and she got killed, and Harry got the scar. And the message, of course, is that, as you see through the stories, that Harry knows things that Voldemort knows, that he speaks, parcel tongue and things like this, and that he can see things that Voldemort is seeing from time to time. So there's, a blending of these two very, very different people in their consciousness, which is, I say again, just amazing. And then what has to happen, of course, is that, and who is it, Dumbledore reveals this at some point, that Harry has to be killed in order for Voldemort to be killed, because you have the whole thing with the Horcruxes, where Voldemort puts his soul into these different objects so that he can be immortal, and after he's nearly destroyed, the objects can be collected together and he can be resurrected and whatnot. Anyway, all of that. Why am I going on about all that? Because the thing that's amazing about Harry is his goodness, and his courage, and his, really, even more than courage, it's just like he is absolutely fearless. Like, there is not anything he will not try or do if he believes that it's in a good cause. The good cause being ridding the world of Voldemort and vanquishing the death of his mother and his father, and knowing who he is. And at one point in the story, in the last novel there and film, he turns himself in, and he says, go ahead, kill me. And it's like, wow, okay, that's incredibly heroic. That's the definition of a hero. And Voldemort thinks he does, and we think that he does, but he doesn't, because Harry springs back to life. And when Harry springs back to life, after Voldemort thinks he's killed him, and we all think he's dead, he's being carried in the arms of Hagrid. one of his best friends, the teacher there, beautiful giant. Um, Everyone is heartbroken, of course. Everyone is absolutely devastated that Harry is dead. And Voldemort is, celebrating this and bragging about this. And when Harry pops out of Hagrid's arms and says, "I'm alive," that is kind of the moment that I feel, that I'm in and that the world is in these days, which is, you know, um, the curse is being lifted. And, our mistakes and our fears and our regrets can and will be forgiven if we will die and be reborn, for what we believe in. We will step into our power. And that seems to be the energy of this summer, which is, the disappointment that people in this campaign felt, um, you know, expecting a landslide in California. And then the night before the election is even held, for the news to declare Hillary the victor is one of those, classic moments of betrayal, where your opposition, enemy, whatever, reveals their true character once again. And it helps you to be very clear what exactly it is you're fighting for, what it is that you're about. So what I'm trying to say here is that it is a powerful alchemical time of change. And by alchemical, I mean to turn the darkness into light, to turn the fear into love, to turn the past into the future, to die to the past, to be reborn into these moments of the present, and to sacrifice in our lives what no longer serves us. What doesn't carry us into the next world, or the new world. And the last thing I want to say is that I saw Bernie's speech, the people introducing his speech this morning, Cornel West and some other great speakers. And, they are all speaking about, once again, basically the human family, and the story for the search for dignity and justice and freedom and respect, and equality and fairness and honesty, and truth, and it's just, wow, folks, it's, the game is really cranked up, and it's only going to keep climbing higher. So we need to be very good to ourselves, and we need to have a living, breathing relationship with the loving higher power that is as real as the world. That's the best way I can say it. And that's one of the gifts from Harry Potter for me as well, which is, Harry had all these, angels and guides and helpers, who were there with him in spirit, and he had his magic, and that's why it's the central, the great story of our time, in my opinion, once again, is that it's all about magic. And what magic is if you believe it, it can happen. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And other people will disagree, and you can prove to yourself that that's not so. And you can struggle 100 times to get something right once. It doesn't matter. The universe doesn't care. It supports our belief. And so there's the human level of consciousness, and there's the spiritual level of consciousness. And, they're not separate, as my guides say. They are inseparably connected, of course, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so how do we bring our spirituality into our human story? That is our spiritual values. That is the great challenge of this time. And we'll fail over and over again, and we'll make mistakes, and we'll have regrets, and we'll be embarrassed and humiliated, often in public, it doesn't matter. That's how important what we've come into this world to discover and to experience and recreate or create, co-create, better word, really is, to bring a vision back onto the planet that has been so long extinguished that people think it's a myth, but it's real if you believe in magic. Yeah. So that's a good message for today. People, I want to do guided meditations and channelings. I'll be more concise next time. You can go to my website loumartin.eu. Excuse me, for there's a moment, a humbling moment. loumartin.eu for more information. Okay, thanks. Peace and blessings. Namaste.